Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Team CELLebrate discussion of the power of your subconscious mind. This is an incredible book that Renita suggested we read. I have read through, gone through it once, and then the beginning I've gone through 5 times on audio. And I plan to continue this one chapter at a time because I really do love it. So we'll have a few people talk about their experience. We'll start with Jean. Take it away, Jean.
Okay. Well, I'm not totally done, I'll be honest. Because I'm just not. But I tend to read a book like this, especially self-help books, because I want to kind of see what's going on. So I always tend to read the forward and the first chapter. Then I jump to the last chapter and then I go back and see and fill it in. I don't know. I learned that along the way. And for me, it really works. It's like, oh, I'm really excited to learn what they're talking about in this last chapter. One of the biggest things I found in this, I love the fact that, and that's just a personal thing, that it actually quotes biblically why he's saying and what he's saying, and he relates it to what's in the Bible and why this really works and is factual, and about faith. And for him, faith isn't necessarily a religious faith. It's just faith in something, and in understanding that there's something higher and bigger than you out there. And this was a really interesting thing right out of it. I got to read it because you can't paraphrase this. It's whether the object of your faith is real or false, you will get results. Your subconscious mind responds to the thought in your mind. Look upon faith as a thought in your mind, and that will suffice. And that one just really hit me. I started reading this just to read it, and then I was going to go back and highlight. And I got to certain chapters and I had to start highlighting because I started to think about people in my life that I think that this would be a really awesome book for them to read, and wanted to be able to explain a few things so they didn't start reading it and then stop reading it, because sometimes faith or religious faith can be an issue, and I wanted them to get the biggest picture from it. I actually I try to talk more in the tense that it's actually happening already. My goals, my dreams, everything is actually in process already. So I am going to be a multi-millionaire is not what you would say. You would say I am a multi-millionaire. Um, or I am a billionaire. And it kind of goes back to some of those practices that we learned from other speakers and talkers. You are what you believe, or you are what you think. It goes back to that, but on a different level. This book just takes you to a little bit different level of how your conscious mind and your words and everything impacts your subconscious mind and why. So to understand it on a little different way, the neural part of it without going into a lot of medical things, that was something that really hit me huge. So in the past, I was not a morning person. I just not. And I'd like to, if I could sleep till 2 in the morning and sleep in till 10, that would be my ideal. However, the world doesn't function that way. And at least my world doesn't. And so I started just saying, okay, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning. I'm going to feel happy. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to be ready to take on the day. And I'm going to wake up a little earlier tomorrow. And I started telling myself that. And it kind of started happening. And it kind of like almost right away, it kind of freaked me out, to be honest. And when I find myself saying, oh, I'm so tired, it's going to be hard to get up tomorrow morning, I can't get up tomorrow morning. So it just touches on a different thing. And I've even taken it apart as far as with some relationships, which is such a big piece of this, any business or our life, and um, so everybody has ugly things happen in their life or hard things happen in their life. And sometimes it's really hard emotional things that happen. And just saying, okay, we all, so I do believe, I just have to put it out there. I believe there is a God. That's my thing. Um, and I believe in forgiveness. And I believe that I forgive more for me than for the other person. And so I started taking a little bit of this attitude, mind, synergy, some of the biblical quotes, some of the things that are highlighted. And sometimes I just get up and I read the highlighted pieces and go on with my day. And it's changing my world, just like forgiving somebody else changes your world. And so that's my biggest takeaway so far. I'm not done with it. I'm just not. And I look forward to finishing it because I know that whatever I decide to do, whatever I put time into is going to work. I just know it. May not work on my time or the way I really want it to, but it's going to be good and it's going to help somebody else. And if I can help somebody else, even if it's only just for a nanosecond, or to impact their whole life, that's what this journey is all about. And so I just encourage you to read it and to allow what you're being shared and the gift that you're being shared through this book to happen. And that's all I got, really.
That was fantastic. Wow. That was great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, excellent. Regina, want to share?
Well,
So Regina, want to say where you live, where you live?
I'm in California. My name is Regina. Hi, everybody. I wanted to do a quick shout out to Robin. Hopefully you're having a better week this week. I know you're having a hard week. Okay. Okay, good. Yay. Okay. And thanks, Jean, for sharing all that because I could feel what you were feeling there. So thank you for sharing because I know that got a little personal or emotional or whatever. I'm not even closely into the book as much as you are, Jean, but, and I know Renee had mentioned that it was a little difficult for her to kind of get through the pages. I love this kind of read, but I don't read a lot of books very often. I kind of like thumb through a little bit of it, I get through half of it and I put it down for a while. So I've gotten through the first few chapters. I too picked up a highlighter because there was just some really good nuggets in there that just kept sticking with me and I kind of kept rereading them. As a matter of fact, it took me, I don't know if anybody saw, well, I know a few people might have, but on social media, I started doing a daily affirmation because of some words that I saw in the book. I put it out to people. And so it helped me say it. And then hopefully it helps somebody else. And prior to that, I was doing take 3 breaths with me. I teach yoga. So it was this kind of read kind of reconnects me with some of the stuff, how I feel when I feel really centered. And lately I've been feeling very distracted. I have a lot of different little things going on. I kind of still feel like I'm I don't know, cleaning things up from Christmas or something. It just kind of seems like the first of the year has been very fast and I'm trying to organize the office and all this kind of stuff. So this came in a very timely manner for me. But I guess the best takeaway is that the few words that I have highlighted and the phrase that I'm putting onto social media as a daily affirmation, I've been saying that throughout the day. And here, I'll give you one more. I just fell in the shower just now.
Oh,
So
no.
that's why I was a little, yeah, I caught myself, long story short, I've had an injury going on right side. I fell on my left side. So I was really irritated. I don't have these kind of accidents very often. So part of me being distracted,
Yeah.
that's what I was getting at, right? So part of me being distracted. So here I'm standing in the shower saying my daily affirmation. So the affirmation I got out of this, you guys, it's really easy. It says let me say it again. I have freedom in all avenues of my life. My life is filled with happiness and I am in perfect health. I have freedom in all avenues of my life. My life is filled with happiness and I am in perfect health. So I repeat that 3 times. I repeat it on social media. I repeat it when I get up and get up in the morning, go to bed. And it's helping me get more into the present moment and start to think like or accepting being a millionaire, right? And I think I don't know if anybody else has this struggle, but that humility, or, you know, kind of that staying that humble position, right? Where we know that in this being with LifeWave, it's because we love and care not only for ourselves, but for other people, or vice versa. We love everybody else and we love ourselves, and we want to share the love and this beautiful technology. But then the finances are there, the money is there. And so we're like, why isn't everybody gravitating to this? This is weird. So when we see people succeed, it's, to me, in my heart, it's hard to accept that that's an important piece of it, because I want to stay humble, you know? And so meeting with everybody and reading things like this, my life is filled with freedom in all avenues of my life. So I'm just going to leave it there. I think it's a great read. It definitely is something that I would pick up over and over and over and over and over again. So I wouldn't stress out by reading from cover to cover right away. I just read a little bit, see what you pick up, put it down, pick it up again, and just go for it. Because there's so many things that are coming at us every day with LifeWave. You know, we got to keep on going. All right, that's it.
No,
Great.
thank you. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
That was awesome. I just want to share one more thing. I took a picture of this because sometimes if you're on Facebook, you can't find it. And I've decided I'm starting a in my camera, my phone, album for books and special reads and stuff like that, because I believe that this has come into our lives to help more people. And I'm finding that I'm talking to people more about this type of thing, and people really want the support. So I just thought I would share that after, especially after the affirmation. I love that. Thank you, Regina.
Great. Anybody else?
I can go.
Thank you for asking too. Thank you. I feel much better. You'll get there too. Slow down. And look at my message I put in there for you.
All right. I can go next.
Great.
So, one of the things that I did for myself this week is I got on Audible. I was really struggling with having the time to sit and read. I had my highlighter out and I was reading it, but I was constantly getting interrupted and thinking about the things that I wanted to get accomplished that day. So I finally bit the bullet and got on Audible, and I'm so glad I did.
Wow.
I had to do some long distance driving over the last couple of days, and it was just so nice to just have that on in the background, and my MapQuest would interrupt, but then it would go right back to it. So I know that this is a format that I will be able to use. And I do believe that this is a book that you will read over and over and over again. I think Regina said she's read it like 20 times, maybe more than that. And it is one of those things where you can just pick up and do a couple highlight a couple things in the chapter, and at the end of each chapter that has the highlights of that chapter. And when I started reading the book and read about that your subconscious doesn't hear the negative, that's the don'ts, the can'ts, the won'ts. And I do remember hearing a speaker, I don't know that it was necessarily on this book, but he did have a lot of one-on-one with a lot of professional golfers. And I think golfers as a sport would be one of those things that you have to really be careful of how you do the negative talk. For example, you've got to hit your ball over to this tee, and there's a big body of water, and your mind is saying, don't hit the water, don't hit the water, don't hit the water. And your subconscious doesn't hear don't, it hears hit the water, hit the water, hit the water. And sure enough, you hit the water. And of course, then the frustration builds from there. So I think what this book is teaching us is that you need to rephrase everything, almost everything, because there's a cause and an effect. The cause is our conscious and the effect is our subconscious. So that was very, very key to highlight. And the next one is that we have the power to choose every day, every morning, throughout the day, just like, you know, some of the people already have talked about, we can choose life, we can choose to live healthy, we can choose happiness. And as I was going through some of the things that I'm ordering on Marketplace, or going through, you know, things that I want to, you know, use as a mantra, I came across a sweatshirt that I had bought last year. And I opened up the drawer. And again, I don't think this is by chance, but here it was, this sweatshirt that said, thankful, grateful, and blessed. And I'm like, yes, that spoke to me. So I went out and got other shirts, thankful, grateful, and blessed. I got a bracelet that says it. And with this bracelet, every night before I go to bed, I kind of say this to myself over and over, almost in a prayer form. And in the morning, before I get out of bed, before I jump out of bed, I pause and think about this bracelet and then put it on and start my day. So that is something that spoke to me. And, you know, I'm thankful for a lot of things. I'm grateful for many things, and I truly am blessed also in many things. So that mantra can change depending on what's going on in your life as well. One of the other things that spoke to me is that the doctor dresses the wound, but it's God that heals our bodies. And that's what LifeWave is all about. We have been given the tools, the technology to let our bodies heal as they were meant to heal. And that is just so, so powerful. The next one that I wrote down is that we build a new body every 11 months.
Wow.
You think about that biologically. Every 11 months, we've created enough new cells to be a new person. So during that 11-month period, you have the opportunity to change your thoughts, and that it's normal to be healthy and it's abnormal to be ill. So to focus on, again, the affirmative. And the other one that I had to go back and capture, because this book doesn't tell you which chapter you're on. You have to kind of, at least my version doesn't in the written form, you have to kind of track down which chapter is which. So this was in chapter 9. And it said, trying to accumulate wealth by the sweat of your brow is one way to become the richest man in the graveyard. So I think we need to remember to take joy in what we're doing. We don't have to like toil so hard that we're not getting any joy. It's just every day we touch our business. Maybe we have a goal of a 90-day run or whatever, but we do need to stay, along with staying focused, we also have to remember to have some downtime, to take a few breaths. I have the gift of being with my 97-year-old parents. Mom's 93, dad'll be 96 next month. And I have to remember, like, slow down. Go over and put a few puzzle pieces in the jigsaw puzzle. You know, sit at the kitchen table and put away the phone, you know, start talking and let mom reminisce and dad and my husband, you know, listen to their banter back and forth. So that's what I've got this week. I'm just thoroughly enjoying this book. I know that I'm going to be using it over and over, and now I can listen to it. So when I am doing a clean out project, which is on my vision board about getting rid of the clutter, which I started today here down in Arizona, I could listen to the book. And if I had to pause it, run over and pause it, go get some water, take the dogs out or whatever. I am thoroughly enjoying Audible. So if you're one of those people who could benefit from listening versus sitting down and reading, I'm so thrilled about it. Thank you.
Good job, Becky. Wow. See, this is the kind of conversation I wanted to have with this meeting. You know, this was kind of the point of getting together with a smaller group and bouncing these things off. Excellent.
I second that regarding Audible, Becky, because I did that too, because I have a hard time just sitting down to focus. So when I walk now, that's what I listen to. And it's great because I'm outside in the sunshine. Well, at least today it was sunny, might rain tomorrow, but it's great. I mean, I'm really enjoying Audible. But I have the book also so that, because I know I'll be reading it and reading it and reading it and then going back to highlight, but I really do enjoy Audible. But I'm only into the second chapter. I'm not that deep into it yet.
I brought the book on the plane wherever I was, one of the places I was lately. And then I forgot a highlighter. I was so mad because I'm listening to it on Audible and then I read it too. I did that on the plane. So I didn't have my highlighter, so I just put a little mark where I was going to highlight, you know, the next, and then the next time I went back. But I mean, the problem with this is that you just highlight so much. It's just all so great. That's why I like going through this so much slower. What I not like struggle with, but so for example, he says basically the blind man cured himself because of his belief in Jesus. So that's kind of the part I struggle with. Meaning that, okay, like the new age way of thinking is like, I'm doing this. And so that, so you can help, if you can help me with that bridge there, because of course I thought Jesus was curing them. And so let's connect that, like Jesus is curing them because he's got belief in Jesus, and that's the faith. So do you understand what I'm
That
asking?
is the faith.
Yeah,
And that's,
he's in the line.
I read it that way. I read it that Jesus shared with him and he asked him, is he going to believe? And he asked him, well, not to go out and tell everyone because the disbelievers could change it. He believed that Jesus could do it, and he believed that it was going to happen. So his subconscious mind made it happen. And if it wouldn't have been for Jesus helping him with that process, it wouldn't have happened. But it was the subconscious mind, the faith in Jesus and what Jesus said, that made it happen. That's how I took it, because I had to read that a few times too and just really let that sink in. And it's like, okay, my subconscious mind, God made for us to do what we would believe in and what we would have faith with. And Jesus was the vessel to help him use his subconscious mind. That's how I took it. And I think that's why, for me, it's working. I don't know. It hasn't
think
helped
it's
me
all
lose
about
40 pounds yet, but we're getting there.
I think it's about coming into alignment with the spirit. So once you are in alignment with the spirit and you are in tune with the spirit, and in this case with Jesus and in the spirit, then you are in alignment with him and all things are made new within you. So because you are in alignment, now the thing that is within you, the spirit within you in alignment with his spirit is allowing you to be made new. So you are made whole, you are made new. So he was in the respect healing himself. Jesus, of course, healed them, but it was through him being in an alignment with the spirit that caused the healing. So if we are
Okay.
at one and in alignment with the creator, with whatever you want to call him, once you are in alignment and you've made up your mind to stay in that space and in alignment, forgetting the distractions, removing yourself from the self-doubt and the self-sabotaging and so on and so forth, then you are allowed to rise above, rise up and come into the space of new and winning, and being blessed.
Anybody else on that
And
thought? Yes.
yeah, I was just going to share a couple things. I read the first chapter, and I'm also going through as a sponsor for a gentleman. Actually, it turns out to be my neighbor across the street is becoming Catholic. Okay, and he's got to go through baptism, go through the whole thing. So I'm going through the classes with him, and so they gave us a book to read. And the first chapter in the book was just a re-edification of the first chapter in the book Power of the Subconscious Mind, and it's talking about when Jesus fed the 5,000. Okay, in that case, you look at the disciples; they were all thinking on the negative side and the small side, that it couldn't happen. What are we going to do? But Jesus was always thinking on the positive side. And always the big picture and believing in the impossible. Even the little child, and back in those days, little kids and women had no worth. But when the little boy came up with the 5 loaves and fish, how many? 3 fish? I can't remember the exact numbers. Somebody knows. Somebody knows.
Two.
Okay.
5 and 3.
Five loaves.
Thank you. Yeah, I knew. Got some good. So, but
The accountant.
yeah, I didn't know numbers.
Yeah.
Don't give me any numbers right now.
Right.
But anyway, Jesus believed in him and praised him for the little boy for coming up there. But it just hit me that there was so much correlation. Somebody mentioned that that the book has a lot of biblical connections, and it does. And that got me excited to read more. I wanted to say one thing. Earlier, you were going through the website, and I think the key to building any business in the network marketing business, it's all about duplication, keeping it simple and duplicatable. And we listened. We're now going. I've actually got Karen getting up and going to work out with me at 6:30 in the morning. Okay. And so we are walking a mile first to warm up, and we each put an earbud in, and we're listening to
Most of the time we're listening to LifeWave
it's
videos.
LifeWave videos. But now I'm thinking maybe the audio Audible too might be a good thing to do as well. But you know, we're still not doing where I want to be, where, you know, we haven't really jumped in and made that decision, because that's really what it's going to take. Because we know what it takes, and it's to make that decision. But I looked at my 1099 from last year by doing virtually nothing, very little. And I'm going, oh my God, we need to kick this into gear. So
Good. I'm all rooting for you to do that.
I know you are.
I'm
I know
sure you are.
I'm patient.
Yeah, I
Walking
know you
with
are.
you.
Thank you. Thank you
wanna
for
make-
being patient.
I want a vacation with you.
Yeah, well, I want a vacation with everybody too. There's been so many people we've been talking to saying we miss each other. We need a reunion.
Yeah.
So
Well, we can have a free one in.
I know.
Yeah. We have 3 people on my team so far. We're not announced yet, but we've won it. Heidi and Lisa and I, but we're not quite officially announced yet. But
Okay. Well,
yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
that's
exciting.
awesome.
We
Well,
get lots more, but for sure the next one, you know, now that we're getting the momentum, and we'll have the powders. I didn't get my powder yet, by the way. Everybody else seems to have.
we got ours.
It took a while. It took a week.
I
I
don't
just
was
got mine
surprised.
today.
I don't have mine yet, so, and I want to bring it along tomorrow. I'm going to 4 days of a chiropractic symposium, and I wanted to bring it along. But anyway, I have used so many of the principles of this book, and I can't even say one thing in specific. The one thing I am going to do is the part that there's on the mind of the memory. This lady had a mantra. I'm going to find that. I can't find it again, but because I can't remember where it is. But because that one has been my whole life of lack of memory, and I've mentioned this before, that I could never remember all those 10-page piano pieces when I had, you know, in college, where we have to memorize them. And so I'd get docked all the time. It's just not there. So now I want to do that one. And then of course the losing weight 1, 2, we're going to work on that one. But so I think this is going to be a big part of my life. I was with some girls for lunch on Thursday, and I was talking about this friend that I helped take, you know, she's 42, help with her medically. And so I talked about the book. They know her, and I just said, you know, this is what I'm going to do, because we've gone down the medical path, and it just hasn't worked. It's been 8 years of her being sick, and she can give us the whole list of everything she's had done. I'm not kidding. She just rattles this stuff off. And then a couple of doctors have said to her, "It's in your head. It's in your head. Keep thinking." Even Renita said to her, "You got to think about what life is going to be like without being sick, because you would absolutely be considered the person who's chronic sick. You know, keeps saying this stuff, likes the conversation that I am sick, I am sick, I am sick." So, and at 42, that's way too young. When she's not 70 or 80 or 90 talking about all her illnesses, but she's so young. So I risked and sent her the book, mailed her the book, and, you know, I said, offered to go through chapter by chapter. So I'm really hoping this is going to be it. I said, "Hey, I found your cure." And then the cost, which she has spent $20,000 a year on trying stuff. And I said, "So, hey, I found your cure, cost $0." I wrote on there. And then I said, "I sent you this book." And then she said, "Yep, we'll read it." So I'm excited to see if I can pull her out of that. So I was telling my friends about this book and they're like, no, it's not going to work. I'm like, okay, no, we have a powerful subconscious mind. And they're like, okay, you just let me know. I'm like, I'm gonna let you know. And so just being with those people who are my extremely good friends said, I don't think that's gonna help her feel better. You can't make yourself feel better.
Then
So,
then they
You should have
need
given them
the
the
book
book.
too.
I know.
Give those two the book and say, here.
I thought
So
so
I'm
too.
still trying to figure out my self-talk or mantra or whatever you want to say. I'm trying to figure out because there's a list. So I'm like, okay, I need to shorten it. What could be my main focus things? But I have caught myself, my language. Like I saw Robin, life and death is the power of the tongue. That's so true. Or like I'll catch my mom or whatever saying something negative and I will just flip it around. So I think that's really important. And like I'm trying to practice like when I go to sleep or when I wake up. But then I just start talking so long. I'm like, I really got to shorten it to like, Regina, you have 3 things. So I got to figure out what my things are.
And like she said, they can change.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's kind of also the benefit or the joy of going through the book slowly is that, whether you're listening to it or reading it, if you see a few sentences or a phrase that catches your attention, allow that be the moment for you to pause and read it again and read it again and
Yeah.
kind of sit with it. And Robin, what you just posted, life and death is in the power of the tongue. It's funny. I think I've seen that phrase almost 3 times over the past few days.
That's confirmation.
Uh-huh. And so when you just wrote that, I was like, whoa, it caught my attention again. But I would just think that, Renee, because I'm about one of my biggest things is self-doubt. Like I'll jump in and do something, but already like I'm privy to that person. I'm not privy, but it's about like, what I do often is like, oh, I'll do well, but I won't do as well as those kind of things. So that's why like even getting through the book, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that read a lot faster than me. I get anxious if I sit down too long. I need to get up and get going. So I think I am going to take Becky's suggestion and like I want to hear it, but I do listen to all the LifeWave videos when I'm out walking too, because there's a lot to catch up on. But back to this, I think like if you just read a page or two, and if something catches your attention, that's where you pause and you put the book down and let that resonate. Just let it kind of get in everywhere, get into everything.
No, it's good. My daughter was trying to help me make a calendar on my phone, on my computer, because I still like the physical calendar just to glance at it, but she said that you really just got to block out this time to do 10 minutes on this and this much time to pray and this much time to exercise, or you don't do it. I tend to start at 6 a.m. I'm in my office at 6 and I'm going and going and going. And then I'm like, okay, it's time for the next thing. I'm like, oh, just 10 more minutes. And so that's my worst thing is my 10 minutes goes into the hour and then now it's 3 hours and I haven't gotten up off my desk because I just continued with that task. But so I'm going to try to make little chunks of, okay, ding, and do that because otherwise I'm not going to get these things done. Kind of a thing. Hello, Denise. Hello, Ivy. Anybody else want to share?
Point in what you were just saying about your day getting away from you, I let that happen too. So that all goes back to that daily method of operations. I'm looking at my other computer screen because I have like a little chart Monday through, every day of the week, and then like activity, read the Bible, exercise, learn this is it team, learn this is it info, read and listen to a book, pro system, opportunity, which days of the week they are, attend and watch trainings, team support, make managers, or like a list. And then I'm going to kind of every day of the week say which are the greens must haves and which are the yellows like nice to have, because otherwise if you're not focused, the day gets away. And so I like lists. So that just having it in my face, I think will be a help for me.
And if you follow that, because I have lists all the time, every morning I make my list of what I want to get done, and hopefully I get half of it done. But it's just like, okay, stop. That's enough on this topic. What I'm, what I'm working on, I have to put that away for then, because I just want to finish. I'm so hyper focused always, like, just let me finish that task. And
Yeah, me
and they're
too.
just ongoing tasks. It's just, constantly doing that. But yes, anybody else?
Doesn't the weather affect anybody too? It's like it's so much easier to stay cozy, so much easier to stay cozy at your desk when it's cold
Yeah.
outside. I mean, I'm in California, so we've had fires, and I don't even think we've had a winter this year. I don't know what's going on, but it's like if it's cold outside, I'll just go down the hall and get a cup of coffee or something, and like, come back in here in my slippers and do one more thing, and then
Yeah.
it bugs
It's
me.
20 degrees here.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
in Buffalo, New York.
I'm sorry, Robin. You
Yeah,
come
boo.
over.
I want to. Let get my eagle wings going.
Oh, you said
7.
Oh, we
Yeah.
might be down there now because let's see.
Yeah.
Over the weekend it was
Yeah.
9.
We're
Oh, it's
55.
22. Woohoo, 22.
Heat wave.
I just
First a
think
heat wave.
when it's
Mine says 5.
when the weather is just a certain way, it's just way easier to stay in. And when it's beautiful here, it bothers me when the sun's out and I'm not outside. Because I don't know about you guys, but I have my energies in the morning. So I like to get everything done. I get up early, try and get my stuff done, get organized. And like by 2 o'clock, I'm like starting to come back into the house, maybe 3 o'clock. And then,
Need a nap.
just kind of, unwind at home. I don't want to be running around after that. Anyway, so we can blame the weather for a little bit.
Yeah. I just like every single paragraph it's just something amazing. I don't know. I think the overall thing is that we all now believe that we have the power to change our life to positive. And that's what I love about network marketing. And I never apologize for network marketing. If someone says it's one of those things, I would never, I'm like, yes, it's one of those things, because it's through my last company, Team National, that I learned all these books. I learned all this stuff about positive thinking because of network marketing, because we're always encouraged to read these books. So I certainly wouldn't have read this book if Renita hadn't mentioned it. None of us probably would have had that. A couple of you said you already had it, but I certainly wouldn't have picked up this book, but so powerful and so many.
I was at the grocery store the other day. It's like my favorite health food store, and about network marketing. And a guy who works in the deli section, he came up to me and he's like, "You're not going to see me. I'm leaving." And he's telling me why he's leaving his job. And I'm like, "Oh," and he just wasn't happy. And I go, "What are you going to do?" Because I'm not sure. And I said, "Well, I had a patch. I don't have patches all over me, but I think I had one here that day." And I'm like, "Well," I go, "What about have you ever heard about LifeWave?" And he goes, "What's that?" And so I tell him about the patch. Or I showed him the patch, and he goes, "Well, what's that all about?" And I said, "Well," and he's working on the other side of the counter. I go, "I'm going to hand you something across the counter. You're going to take it and you're going to call me." And anyway, so he's like, "How'd you get roped up into it?" I go, "I didn't get roped up into it. It was gifted to me." So I'll be seeing him I didn't want to take him away from what he was doing, but he was like, telling me everything that was going on, and he had no other. And I go, "You've got every reason in the world to look it up, because you got some time on your hand right now." So
That's awesome.
so we'll work
I
on it.
like how
Hi,
you said
Renita.
that, though. It was gifted to me. I got to steal that.
Gifted.
That was good.
Girl, you don't
That
got to
was
steal it.
good.
It was gifted to you too.
It
You got to
was.
steal it.
Love that.
Hey.
So what I
Renita, you are good.
very good. I read a lot of these books, you guys, for many years. Many years. I started with Tupperware when I was 19. I have always had a home-based business. I made good money with Team National. That was the first one. I always made cash to go with other ones, but with Team National, I actually got a decent 1099. This one is so different. It is so different. Everybody could benefit if they want to. And I believe that this book, Renita, hi, I
Hi.
believe you brought
I
this
know,
into
Renita.
our lives when it was meant to be, so that we could
Praise
help
the Lord.
ourselves, but more importantly, to help other people. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love it. I love it. You are welcome. You are welcome. Sorry, I'm a minute late. I was just on another Zoom meeting with our Canadian team, and we were talking about the power of the subconscious mind. So it's a hot topic. Up there. I think they have 3-4 people now that have won the free trip to Punta Mita. They're very excited. Canada is a country that could have stopped because remember, a year ago, they took away X-39 and all the patches except for Ice Wave. And these people stayed the course, weathered the storm, and now are winning. Most of them are winning their second free trip. They went to Punta Cana with us, and now we're going to Punta Mita. But we discussed the power of the subconscious mind. And you guys, this book is not just going to change your Lifeway business. It will change your life when you start applying what it says. It will change your entire way of doing your life. It's going to improve, right? Because we're all basing decisions on our subconscious mind, which is generally established between the ages of 0 to 10. And for some of you, we have really great subconscious beliefs. How many of you think you've got good beliefs? Some of you got some good beliefs. But how many of you know some of you have some bad beliefs that happen 0 to 10? We just know it. I always say our parents did the best they could with what they had, but hey, sometimes they were just repeating a generational curse that was handed down to them. So, but we have the power to change that right now, right here, tonight. Like it doesn't have to go on anymore. And it was interesting because the last meeting, things came to mind, and I'll share them with you before we get started, if I could, Anne, because I think it's important. And I just love all the commentary of people that are reading it. So I would like to hear what the takeaway or a dominant takeaway is if they are reading The Power of the Subconscious Mind. I know we came tonight for these 2 books, which we'll get to in a second. And you can start just because you're up on the screen here, Jean. So what is a fundamental takeaway that you're taking from this Power of the Subconscious Mind?
My biggest thing is that if I believe it and say it in my mind, it will happen. Like I was sharing earlier, I'm just so excited because you're on here because I just love listening and learning from you. I'm used to not be able to get up in the morning. I hated mornings, but now I'm enjoying getting up. I actually enjoy having quiet time with coffee. You guys, I used to be last minute, and it's all because before I went to bed, I believe it. I believe, and I said to myself, I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning. I'm going to have energy and be happy and feel healthy.
Wow.
And it's happening.
That is so powerful what you're saying. It's like that old thing. Have you ever known, okay, I got to get up for a flight at 5 a.m. or I got to get up for this appointment at 6:30 a.m. and then you wake up at like 6:29. Has that happened to any of you before? It's like you literally are telling your body and your cells what to do. So you saying that before bed, you've taken back your power. Like we've got the power. God gave it to us. Jesus gave it to us in the upper room. We don't need to discuss that again. We were believers here. And so you literally took back your power to say, I'm not just going to get up in the morning and drag through life. Like I am choosing in advance, right? And then you're repeating that over and over in that emotional state saying, I have a great life. I am blessed. I'm highly favored. I'm going to wake up with energy. Watch this, right? I sometimes say, watch this.
So
I
now
actually say it
my
out loud.
question,
Watch this.
I'm going to interrupt and ask this question because I just really feel like I'm supposed to. I need that block to go away with, I know how to share this business with other people. I know how to gift it to other people. And the words are going to come out of me going forward because Renita is going to help me with that.
Amen. No, they are. They are. It's incredible. The last group I told this story, and I don't know if I've ever told it before. Because we were talking about the power of the subconscious mind, and I said, I was raised in poverty. I was raised in hard work, more even than poverty. My dad never really said we're poor because we really weren't. We're just he was a blue collar worker, plant worker, spent a lot of money on alcohol, unfortunately. But taught us kids to work hard, right? So our number one asset was our work ethic, no question. Like he'd buy us a cow for $400. We'd have to pail feed the cow, which meant carrying 5-gallon buckets of hot water down to the barn because the barn didn't have hot water. Manuring the barn after school, which was sometimes 4 hours of breathing ammonia, not pneumonia, ammonia, smelling things, and which was wicked. And then when we sold the cow for $1,100 or $1,200, when it was large enough, we'd get the split. We'd pay dad back the $400 and we'd get that money. But, the in between was the work, right? And so we didn't lack effort. We didn't lack work ethic. I mean, we just were all my siblings were just super hard workers, right? But we were never taught to work smart, and we were really never taught abundance. I mean, my dad was an alcoholic, right? So he did the best he could with what he had. And so we never were really trained with abundance. And marrying Scott's family, like his mom told me just the other day, there were 6 children under the age of 8. Can you guys imagine that? And maybe you can. 6 children under the age of 8. So there was a lot of little bodies that needed a lot of attention, love, and food, right? And so it's not that they never said like we're poor, right? Because you ask them how his childhood was, and it was fine. It was great. They were loved. But there was this undertone of scarcity, right? Just because due to the sheer number of children under the age of 8 that needed food, right? And his dad was a teacher. And so anyway, as we were kind of unwinding all this, I talked about how I heard about the power of the subconscious mind. For those of you that don't know this story, I was on a flight to our first free trip we won with a network marketing company. It was 18 and a half years ago, you guys, because Bo was 6. And we were on this flight to Maui, Hawaii. We've been to Maui, Hawaii 6 times after that. It was with a company called Monavie. And we were there on this flight, and there was a gentleman sitting next to me who was a dentist. And I started talking to him because, I'm part yellow. I'm part yellow. I talk to everybody. I'm part blue. I love a party. I love to talk. I love a good time, right? We're going to Maui. We're going for free. And so I'm telling him that. And this guy goes, well, I'm going to Maui and I'm not going for free. Tell me how you're going for free, right? And so he's a dentist. And he proceeds to tell me that I need to read The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. This is 18 and a half years ago. And I didn't listen. I didn't go home and read it, you guys. I said to myself tonight, geez, 18 and a half year learning curve. Renita, figure it out faster, right? But anyway, long story short, that guy signed up. Back then, we didn't have the internet like we do now. I actually carried around sign-up sheets. By the way, I put a sign-up sheet under my front chair in my front porch tonight because someone was coming to grab it to fill it out. So I still use sign-up sheets. But anyway, 18 and a half years ago, I handed him a sign-up sheet, and this dentist from Wisconsin filled it out, handed it back to me, and drank the product for a couple years. But I didn't realize the power of the subconscious mind until just this year. I was listening and I was praying, like, why is it that we work, and we're not making, honestly, sometimes do you think with your work ethic, you should be making 8 figures? Who believes that? Raise your hand. I mean, how you work, and I'm not a lazy worker. Like, I'm a worker with a spirit of excellence. How many of you are a worker with a spirit of excellence? Raise your hand. Now, maybe some of you on here saying, no, Renita, I'm lazy. Okay. That's a whole nother problem. Okay. So you need to work on that. Okay. You need to get after it. But like, let's say you're a worker bee and you do it with a spirit of excellence and you're like, why am I not making the money? Like, this is just crazy. Right. And, in God's timing, I'm like, be careful not to spiritualize everything, right? We got to be careful that we don't religiousize everything, right? I'm like, sometimes it's just like, what is our subconscious belief? So what happened was I started listening to this guy. I started thinking about what's the differentiator? Why are some people making large amounts of money and why are some people not? And they might be doing the similar activities. So I started kind of asking that question out loud, right? And all of a sudden, I don't know if my phone is listening. I think it's always listening. I always say AI can be our greatest asset or our greatest enemy. If you're looking at porn, you're fading fast. If you're asking your phone good things about the goodness of God and how to up level your life, you're ready for an upgrade. Like, the AI is going to come through and show you videos now how you can upgrade your life. Anyway, I was this Jake Ducey, and I've told you guys this name before. He kept coming up, this Jake Ducey. And I liked him. He reminded me of a Jim Rohn, but way younger. And I like Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was like for those of you that don't know him, he was an inspirational guru, not with network marketing, just with life. And I liked his last name, Rohn, because it was my maiden name. My name is Renita Rohn. And anyway, so I always liked his last name, and I like listening to Jim Rohn. Well, when I listened to this Jake Ducey, he was kind of like that Jim Rohn, but younger, hipper, more normal. Fun, and I kind of like fun. I have an undertone of fun. I'm attracted to fun. And I think most people are attracted to fun and joy, I'll be honest. Anyway, and so as I listened to him, I thought, gosh, this guy is like on the money with everything he says. What is going on here? And one day he held up the book. And he said, you know that most of my information comes from the power of the subconscious mind. And he goes by Dr. Joseph Murphy, and it went whoop. And I took me back to that airplane ride to Maui 18 and a half years ago with the dentist saying to me, Renita, do you know the book that will change your life? It changed my life. It changed all of my adult children's life. It's The Power of the Subconscious Mind. You really need to read it. 18 and a half years ago on that airplane to Maui, he told me that. And I didn't read it. Think about that for a second, you guys. Isn't that crazy? But here it came full circle 18 and a half years later when he held up the book. I wasn't thinking, where is that book coming from? It hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, that was the book the dentist told me 18 and a half years ago. I mean, it was just like in front of my face. And let me tell you the rest of that story. When we got to Maui, Hawaii, it was our first trip like that as a family. And you know, the Maui time change is crazy. And we got there, and we were not on Steve and Gina Merritt's team, by the way. For those of you that don't know that, in our first business, that we were cross-lined to Steve and Gina, but I was always kind of a dynamo in every network marketing business I've done. I'm very much a prolific enroller. I'm mouthy. I love people. I love God. I've just kind of been open about it, right? And anyway, we got there to Maui, and I'll never forget it. They said, well, are you Renita and Scott Brandon? We've been waiting for you. I said, really? You've been waiting for us at this Grand Wailea Hotel? Yes, there's a couple here. Their names are Steve and Gina Merritt, and they want to give you their room that they were supposed to be in, but they've chosen a different room because they've got some family members coming. So you are actually in the presidential suite. That is their room. Okay, Steve and Gina are not our upline. We're not on their team. We don't make them $1. I mean, nothing. You talk about a spirit of generosity 18 and a half years ago, planting the seed for this LifeWave business. We went to the room. You know you're at a room when there's 2 doors and a doorbell. You know you're there. You know you're at a good room, okay? It's not like a single door with a little eye hole. It's a double door, and it's got a doorbell. And we walk up to the room, and they're like, okay, this is your room that you get for like the next 8 days or whatever. And they open the doors, ta-da, like this. And like we walked in, it was a 2,000 square foot room overlooking the ocean. And Steve and Gina Merritt gave it to us because it was their room. And here I happened to be like the top enroller or whatever in Montevideo, and they knew we were coming with our little boys, right? And I think they wanted to have us to have the adventure. We're not on their team, you guys. You got to understand the spirit of generosity is so prevalent with this couple. It's amazing, right? I mean, can you even imagine this? Just giving our family a vision. Bo is 6. He's 24. He's going to be 25 in a month. I mean, think about this for a second. So we weren't on their team. I'm only on Steve and Gina's team 2.5 years ago. They planted this seed 18 and a half years ago, guys. I mean, this is unbelievable to say out loud, right? We were down in Florida. The boys were sick. We were at this Montevideo event, and I put it, I think social media just started, and I put on social media, oh my gosh, the boys are sick. I wish we could have brought Montevideo juice. They need the juice. They need the antioxidants. And all of a sudden, Gina Merritt, I see her come on Facebook. She goes, oh, sweetheart, inbox me the hotel you're staying at. She's not my sponsor. I'm not making her a dime. She drives over with the white Jeep. I'll never forget it. With Rami, her daughter, the world champion 10-time barefoot water or wakeboarder. She pulls up with the white Jeep. They each get out with the case of Montevideo. And I said, Gina, I said, what do I owe you? She goes, nothing. You just get those boys better. And she got in that white Jeep. I want to cry thinking about it, actually. She got in the Jeep and took off. A spirit of generosity is covering that couple. And so I want to share this. So we weren't raised in extravagance or wealth or health. I mean, I always say, health and wealth didn't come from us. We didn't come from it, but it's coming from us, right? But I was telling the last group, and I have told this story to too many people. I said, I was not raised with abundance thinking but I wasn't raised with money is evil either. I wasn't raised, you know how some people are raised with the money is evil thought? Oh, that person, they're just buying a new purse, or that person, they're just buying a new car. Like, blah, like, you know, those people. I was never raised in that. I think I said to the last group, I think we were too busy working to talk about anybody. Like we just didn't have that spirit of talking about anybody, like their wealth, because I mean, we just didn't. And so we never really had that. So I really always had on me celebrate with those who celebrate, which is scriptural, right? When someone has something good happen and they win something, I celebrate, whether they're on my team, not on my team. I mean, when someone gets a new vehicle or goes on a family trip to create new memories, I'm never like, oh, look at that family. I'm like, praise the Lord, I want some of that, right? I'm just more of that nature. I don't think I need to be broke to get into heaven. Like, that's not what I think. Okay. In the last meeting, somebody said, you know, we were taught that we had to be broke to get into heaven. I'm like, oh, no, Jesus gets you into heaven. Like, the broke is up to you. You got to change that, baby. Anyway, long story short, but we had glimpses of the generosity, like I just mentioned with Steve and Gina. I remember Scott and I were flat out broke. It was tough. We were on the verge of a divorce. I was 25 years old. It was really bad. It was really, really bad. Bad would probably be an understatement, actually. And so I always say I broke 9 of the 10 commandments, and thank God I didn't kill anybody, right? Anyway, including myself. And so I worked at this restaurant. It was kind of a high-end restaurant in town here. And it was really kind of a lot of really wealthy people came to it. And I was a great server. I mean, how you do anything is how you do everything. I feel like I just try to do everything with a spirit of excellence. So I was a great server. Like, you wanted me to wait on you because like you were getting your water filled. Like, you were just like, what can I do to help? And I was pregnant with Bo. And I remember sometimes people would just give me $100 tip, and it would just make my night, because I was like, we were strapped, right, financially. And sometimes they would leave me $200. I mean, it was crazy, right? Crazy money for me. And I'll never forget. So we were going through hell and high water, and I was working at this restaurant, and the owner called me up and she said, Renita, she knew I was having problems. She called me up and she said, can I take you out for lunch at Perkins? You guys know what Perkins is. And we met at Perkins, and I'll never forget it. I think I was 25, and we were struggling. Bo was only 2. We didn't have any money. We were on the verge of divorce. I mean, it was bad news. Every facet of our life was falling apart. And we sat at this table, and she said, I'm gonna try not to sob, but she pushes an envelope across the table. And she said, I want to give this to you. And she's a wealthy lady in our community. She owns the restaurant I'm working at, which is a high-end restaurant, like the best in our community. Her husband owns all the grocery stores. They've got money, right? And so she pushes this envelope across the table, and she goes, I want you to take this. I want to give this to you. She said, you don't need to pay me back. She says, you just need to go buy your family some meat and some food. I remember thinking, oh my God, thank you. Thank you. We need this money so bad. So although I had this spirit of definitely not abundance on me, just a work ethic, I had people around me that had such generous spirits. Just a spirit of generosity. She had $2,000 in that envelope, $2,000 to go buy. She said, go buy some steaks. She said, feed your boy some steaks. She said, you got to get some meat. And she said, I love you, and I'm praying for you. She left. And we got really bad. And she said, you can move into my house. And I went to her house one day because Scott and I were falling apart at the seams. And I remember walking into the house. It was an 8,000 square foot mansion on the river. No one was there. She was at her other house. She had lots of them. And I remember walking in, and she called me, and she said, you just stay as long as you need. You just eat whatever's there. It's all yours. Don't worry about a thing. And so on my journey, I had these incredible people of wealth that had such tremendous generosity toward me. It was almost unbelievable. I ended up becoming really good friends with this lady. And she had this extravagant cabin out in Montana, Bozeman, Montana. If you guys ever been out to Big Sky, we went out there, and she'd take me along because she always wanted me to teach exercise at the cabin with all her lady friends. And she hated the exercise. She's like, okay, Renita's here. She's going to teach us exercise, but we know we hate it. Like, she had a poor subconscious belief about exercise. Anyway, long story short, I mean, we'd be staying in this, mansion, $8 million cabin up in the mountains, her cooking like 5-star dinners because she was a professionally French trained chef, living the high life, flew me out there just so I could teach exercise for her friends. It really gave me a taste of a better lifestyle than anything I had been raised in. And the reason I tell you that story is because my roots are hard work, but God along that journey gave me people with a spirit of immense generosity. And I got I love that spirit. So at Christmas time, when I'm walking around and I said to Scott, I mean, we just want to give out $100 tips, $1,000 tips for the waitress that's pregnant. Not because we feel sorry for her, because we're thankful for her, right? Doing the work. And so for me, like I have such a spirit of generosity where I want to do those great things. And I know it takes great money, it takes great wealth to, if you just want to cut checks like that. So I've never been the person that's like, I make enough money. I'm like, no, Lord, your streets are paved with gold in heaven. I love you. I'm a child of yours. I serve you. I try to do everything with a spirit of excellence to love and serve and glorify you. Pour it out on my family, please. So I'm not the person that's like, oh, I want to be poverty so you can think I'm better than you. I don't want to think that at all. That's not who I am. Like I was poor and my relationship sucked and it was hard and we fought about money. And I'll tell you what, life is better when you have more money to pay your bills. Let me just say that. How many of you know your relationships get better when you're not strapped financially? Period. You could, I could argue that one until the cows come home. It's common sense, guys, right? 51% of Christian marriages are ending in divorce. And many times it's not because of infidelity, it's because of financial struggles, right? And so when you have that come into the mix and that's no longer a struggle, it changes the whole game. So for me, like I've said this to Anne a few times, I said, it's not just about making more money. It's about saving marriages. It's about saving families. It's about tipping that waitress $1,000 at Christmas. It's like, it's about, I go to my hairdresser and she charges me next to nothing. I give her 5 times what she charges me as a tip. Why? Because I know she's got 2 little girls at home that she wants to see more of, and she's working this crazy job cutting hair, right? So for me, it's like that. And so what happened to me, even though my subconscious belief was that kind of hard work only, God gave me glimpses of people on my journey that taught me a spirit of generosity, and I loved it. Like I loved it. Like I look back at it, I'm saying, thank you, Jesus, for these people that were on my path that taught me this. Steve and Gina Merritt, I mean, are you kidding? Who knew 16 and a half years later, Steve Merritt would be calling me to get in the business when he's giving me his presidential suite at the Grand Wailea in Maui? He could have gave it to anybody on his team. I wasn't even on his team. You guys get what I'm saying? Do you see how God is just like working these details out the whole time? You got to believe. You got to believe. And so I will briefly tell you how to change your subconscious belief. If you don't know how to do it, I'll teach you how to do it fast because it changed everything for me. It changed my entire life like that. Like in the last year, my life went like that changed. And the first thing I did is remember I talked to you guys about capstone last week or last month or the first of the month, capstone. The first C is clarity. If you could sit down tonight before you go to bed, after you get off the Zoom, and if you could write down what you want your life to look like 1 year from now, I'm talking best case scenarios, divine, super conscious, God-given ideas only. Don't say but, okay? No buts in there. What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your health to look like? What do you want your business to look like? Maybe you want 20 managers. Maybe you want to be SPD. Maybe you want to win the next 5 trips, whatever. The sky's the limit. Don't limit yourself. Imagine like that paragraph that you write of what you want in the next year is limitless because, by the way, that's our God. If you didn't know this yet, let me teach you something. That's our God in heaven. He's limitless. We limit ourselves with our stinking thinking. Anyway, the bottom line is write down exactly what you want 1 year from now. What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your business to look like? Right? How many people do you want to be serving? How much money do you want to make? Write down an exact amount. Remember, I told you at the beginning of the year, vague goals, vague results, vague goals, vague money, vague health goals, no weight loss, right? Vague. If you're vague, you're going to get vague. Okay. So what you put out, you're getting back. So you better get crystal clear with clarity about what is it you want. And then tonight, after you write that list, when you go to bed, I told you, and I know this stuff because I've studied neuroscience. Listen, I've been in the depths of this stuff for 9 years with my mom with Parkinson's. I've read more neuroscience books. I probably could get a neuroscience degree at this point. Okay, but I don't want any more degrees. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you, when you go to sleep, there is something that happens to your brain when you're drifting off to sleep and when you're sleeping. Your brain's cleaning itself, right? When it's sleeping. But that drift off to sleep and that wake up period is actually the time where you can retrain your subconscious belief. So what I generally do is say my prayers. I take 10 deep breaths. Do you guys know that it's hard for your body? First of all, we're electrical magnetic beings. People say, that's weird. I'm Catholic. Good. I'm a Christian and you're electric magnetic beings. Period. Okay, we can measure this by science now. Just because you haven't studied it doesn't make it true. Go ask David Schmidt. He'll tell you the truth. Okay, your heart has an electrical current to it. It's got a magnetic current to it. Okay, I always think we are big fat judges of things we know nothing about, right? I'm like, go learn something. So the bottom line is I quit that a long time ago. I'm like, you know what? It's probably true. Like, I'm going to go research a little bit, right? So what happens is as you drift off to sleep, as you wake up, you're in this certain state of sleep, right? You've heard of them, delta, alpha, right? You've heard of these different brain activities that happen. The good news is that no matter what our subconscious was, so my subconscious 0 to 10, I didn't have a lot of good, right? My dad was an alcoholic. Again, full forgiveness. Today, what we were talking about, my dad, I miss him so desperately. I love him. We'd be talking politics. Oh my gosh, he loved Trump. Anyway, but he's gone now. So we can't, and maybe you hate Trump, maybe you don't, it doesn't matter. I just like the passion of my father. How many of you know that your dad had passion? My dad had passion. Like, he was a passionate dude. So I like that about him. So I miss that about him. But the bottom line is we're sitting there talking about him. And I thought, you know what? My dad really got up and changed his life the last 6 months of his life. He started wearing the patch. He started drinking her electrolytes, right? He started sitting in full on sun. This is a guy that went fishing with full on hats, long sleeve shirts, and blue jeans for his whole life. And then I'd come in for his house. He's in his white underwear, like Fruit of the Looms, or whatever it's called. You guys know the underwear I'm talking about. Fruit of the Looms, is that what it's called? Fruit of the Looms, whatever. The white ones. He would sit in the tidy whities in the front yard, sitting in the sun, because he just realized the sun was important, right? So he completely changed his life. But the reason I'm telling you this story is that you all have the power to change your subconscious belief. So I was raised with this guy that really didn't give me much, like in the realm of love or generosity or anything like that, you guys. But he gave me a work ethic, and that was really powerful. But what I realized is he gave some good things that happened to me when I was young. I have a tremendous subconscious belief about exercise. Do you guys know this about me? I can exercise for 10 hours straight and not be tired. It's crazy. It's out of this world, actually. I never get tired. I'm getting stronger as I'm getting older. It's incredible. And it's probably the patch. I'm sure it's partly the patch, like, right? Getting stronger, better, faster, fitter as we get older, recovering better. No question, it's the patch. But I have a subconscious belief that exercise is easy. Like, I'm not the person that says, oh, this is so hard. I can't walk. I'm like, this is easy, right? I can do 10 more hours of this. So some of us have subconscious beliefs about things that are good, is what I'm saying. How many of you have some things that are good? You're thinking, I have a subconscious belief about something from my childhood, and I'm actually glad I have it in my adult life, because how do you know if it's good or bad? Well, it's creating the fruit on the tree. Remember the fruit on the tree scripture talks about? What is the fruit of the Spirit? Right? Does anybody know the fruit of the Spirit? Love, joy, peace, kindness. Come on, say it. Say it. Kindness, gentleness, self-control. Maybe you're saying the song at church school, right? The bottom line is generally the fruit of the Spirit is going to be good things, right? So how do you say, well, is my subconscious belief bad or good about money? Well, where am I at now financially? Is my subconscious belief good or bad about health? Where am I at right now with my health, right? You can tell a lot by the fruit of the Spirit is what I'm saying. So there's things that we want to keep there. Like, I want to keep my exercise subconscious because it's great, but I had to get rid of other subconscious beliefs that I had 0 to 10 about money, right? So my point is, you change it by getting crystal clear of what you want. So what Scott and I did, we sat down and we wrote exactly out what we want. Number one. Number two, I learned that I could change my subconscious belief very quickly a few ways. Number one is when I was going to sleep, when I was waking up, but I had to breathe. So what I did is I said my prayers, and it takes discipline to do this. How many of you hit the sack and you're out? You don't even remember going to sleep, right? It actually took like discipline. It took self-control, which is a fruit of the Spirit, by the way, right? It's the last fruit of the Spirit. I think it's the last because people don't want to talk about it. Anyway, it took self-control to not just fall asleep. I laid in bed and I would say my prayers, and then I would take 5 to 10 deep breaths in through the nose, out through the nose, never through the mouth, because out through the mouth is a energizing breath, and you don't want to be energized before you go to sleep, right? We're trying to calm down. So in through the nose, out through the nose, 10 breaths. And then right after that, I would not allow myself to go to sleep, but I could feel myself drifting, right? You know how you could feel yourself going to sleep? I was still kind of in what's kind of a subconscious state almost, right? I would start visualizing best case scenarios, exactly what I wanted, exactly how I was going to feel when I was making $10,000 a week, who I was going to give money to, what I was going to contribute, who I was going to help, what it was going to feel like for my family not to have any debt. Like, I just started visualizing this stuff. Best case scenarios only, right, guys? Never the negative. You never want to do the worry thing before bed. Forget it, right? Like, you're literally, because in Ephesians 3:20, who knows what Ephesians 3:20 says? Go ahead, Judy. Judy's raising her hand. What does it say?
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Nope, it doesn't say that, I don't think, but it says, that's a good one. Is that what Ephesians 3:20 is?
I thought it was.
That's a good one.
I could be wrong. I was trying to
I think
memorize
that's
it.
Jeremiah 29:11. But I
I
like
know
it.
the plans I have for you, plans to
That's
prosper you.
Jeremiah
and not-
29:11. What is Ephesians 3:20? More than we can think, ask, or
Oh, yeah.
possibly imagine.
There you
But I
go.
like your frame of thought, Judy. I'm going to go with it. I like that. That one too. Let's say that's part of it. So
Life,
let's say that.
abundant life, more abundantly.
Yes, that's John 10:10, right? So we can all pull up these things. But Ephesians 3:20 says God is, if we're in alignment with him, and our hearts and our minds are in alignment with him, he's going to give us more than we can think, ask, or possibly imagine. Now, what do you think the guy whose streets are paved with gold is imagining for his children on earth? Do you think he's imagining good things or bad things for us?
Good.
Again, if you're like over here saying negative, wrong. I don't know who your God is, but mine's different than yours. My God is an abundant Father in heaven, and he wants his children well. It says, right, in 3 John 1:2, dearly beloved, I pray all is going well with your physical health, as I know your soul is getting along well, or as your soul prospers, it says, right? These are powerful words. The point I'm saying this is, in Ephesians 3:20, it says that God is going to give us more than we can think, ask, or imagine. And I'm telling you, at night, imagine best case scenarios. So you're laying in bed, you're doing this breathing, you're thanking God, and now you're imagining only the best case scenarios. And it says in Ephesians 3:20, he's going to give you more than that. Well, how do you think this is going to end up?
Good.
Have you ever just thought about this for a second? If you're really imagining the best case scenarios, now how many of you lay in bed and worry? Tonight's the night you stop that. Okay, because that's not getting you anywhere, and it's not even scriptural. Like, what is it? It's just a bad, poor, repetitive, bad behavior, right? Pattern. Ephesians 3:20 says he's going to give us more than we can imagine. So I'm telling you, imagine best case scenarios, and that what God's going to give you. Find a freckle on your body. Okay, find a freckle somewhere. Maybe it's on your butt cheek. That freckle is your imagination. Okay, but God is going to give you more than you can imagine. Okay, so you're imagining the freckle. Okay, you get what I'm saying here? And he's got the whole thing planned out, and it's bigger than the freckle. Okay, are you with me on this? Okay, the point I'm telling you this is like, imagine if we just started imagining that. So number one, we do the deep breathing. We thank God. We imagine best case scenarios. No, actually, step one was write it all down. You got to write it down. Hosea, right? My people perish because of lack of knowledge. Habakkuk. I don't even know how to say the word in the Bible. I can just spell it. Habakkuk. She's got it. She's got it. What does he say? Write on plain tablets.
I'm like, who thought of that name, right? Habakkuk.
Like, how I can't spell it even. Anyway, the point is write it on plain tablets. So we want to write out exactly what it is that we want our lives to look like a year from now. And again, this could be in LifeWave. This could be in relationships. This could be in all things, right? I mean, include LifeWave. We're here talking about it, right? How many managers do you want to make? How many business partners do you want to have? How many people do you want to be loving and serving with this patch? Come on, guys. Put a number to it. Put a number to it. Can you imagine if you say, you know what? I'm going to get 1,000 people on my team in the next year, right? 1,000. My team's going to grow to 1,000, 5,000. And then whatever you're thinking as you're drifting off to sleep, imagine you're imagining best case scenarios. but God is like the doubler downer, right? Like he's the guy that says, oh, you think you got this? I got this for you, right? And it's bigger than we can think, ask, or imagine. So that's the first thing, breathing and then imagining. And we do the same thing when we wake up in the morning. How many of you guys, when you wake up in the morning, can do the same thing? Before I quit teaching 5:30 a.m. exercise. Listen, I taught 5:30 a.m. exercise for 25 years. Do you guys know that about me? I was the 5:30 gal. Look at me. 5:30 gal. I loved it. I flew out of bed in the morning. Well, now that's cutting into my time, imagining best case scenarios that God has for my family. So I no longer can teach exercise at 5:30. I said, I'm out. Because I have got to lay there and I can't fly out of bed at 5 when that alarm clock goes off anymore. I've got to, as I wake up slowly. And I actually have to have a spirit of self-control because I'm kind of wiry. You guys know that about me, right? I'm kind of like in your face. And so typically like I'd be up and out. And Scott's like, she's got her shoes on and she's in the car with the car running before Scott even gets out of bed, right? That's just my nature. I'm fast, right? And so I actually have to take discipline to lay in bed. You guys know this is a true story because I don't want to miss my moment with God. So I actually lay there, and as I wake up slowly, then maybe about whatever time, 6:37, I don't allow myself to freak out and get up. I lay there and I kind of think I'm starting to wake up. And then you know what I do again? I start imagining best case scenarios again. This is the other time. So when you look at the science, the neuroscience of those two times, you can literally reformat your entire brain. With the going to sleep and the waking up period, those little moments right there, it's not long. You're not going to do this for like 20 minutes, guys. I'm talking, it's going to be, when you're going off to sleep, you're going to feel like it's about 60 seconds you have in you. Seriously, it's not long. I'm not asking you to sit here and build a bridge. Okay. It's like, this is easy stuff. Okay. The other time that you can reformat your brain, do you guys know, is when you're in the shower or when you're underwater. How many of you have good ideas when you're in the shower? And I joke often and say it's because my mouth is shut. Because it's hard to shut my mouth. But when I'm showering or when I'm swimming, sometimes I go to the swimming pool and I swim and I come out of the water and I'm like, I just had the best idea. And I think it has something to do with, again, those brain waves that are happening, like when we're our mother's womb. How many of you know when we're in our mother's womb, there's that water, right? So something is going on there, right? And so if you're showering, when you're in the shower, again, what are you imagining in the shower? Not worry in the shower. Imagine best case scenarios in the shower. Are you guys with me? So as that water is rushing over your head, you're thinking about best case scenarios. The other thing that changes your subconscious belief is repetition. So my friend Donna that I told you that gave me the $2,000 for meat, for steaks, that she took me out to her cabin repeatedly, that she offered me her house. It wasn't a one and done thing with her. It was over and over and over generosity. And so what happens, a thing that retrains our brain, our subconscious belief, is repetition of emotional things. Well, do you guys think when I was flat broke and couldn't afford food, when she's giving me $2,000 for meat, it was emotional for my family? Yes, it was. It's emotional for me now telling you guys the story, right? And so all of those emotional times that happened of generosity reprogram my mind for generosity. How crazy is that? As much work ethic and poverty. So I actually kind of have a generous spirit, not kind of, I do. And so for me, it's just like, oh, that's like, that is something that a subconscious belief that happened on my journey, right, guys? And so what happens for you guys is that repetition of emotion, okay? A repetition of emotion. So if you're imagining something or you're talking about something, and if it's good and there's a high emotion involved with it, and it does it on repeat, that is powerful to retrain your subconscious brain. So again, that's where you don't want to hear the sob story of a sickness 1,000 times from someone, right? Because now what is their belief about their health? They said it 1,007 times to 1,007 different incidences. Do you think that their subconscious belief is that they're healthy? They've told that same story. Are you guys getting what I'm saying? That's why we have to be careful, right? Some of us are trying to change people that have 11,273 neural patterns of sickness. Are you getting it?
Oh my gosh, you are so right.
God, yeah, but God can change people in an instant. Let's just say there's a touch of God. I still believe in miracles, right? That still happens. but they have to be willing to say, you know what, I need to change my subconscious belief. Like I need to move beyond this now and step into the healing that God has for me, the finances that God has for me, the authority of heaven on earth that God has given to me in the upper room with Jesus Christ, right? We have to like eventually step into that belief system, but it's repetition of that then, right? I tell you guys, I've read this book. I'm on my 15th time. 15 times. You're thinking, did she not get it the first time? No, I got it. I got it all right. I got it good. So what happens to me is now I'm realizing I'm retraining my whole belief system. Every time I read it, some people are saying, Renita, I don't like to read. I'm listening into it while I drive in the car. Maybe you guys heard the story of the guy who was saying, I need a vehicle for my son. Got 2 drivers, money's tight. And he actually had this thought that this gentleman was going to give him the car. And the guy called and said, I want to give you this car. Did you guys hear it? Were you on that Zoom?
Yeah. Yeah.
This guy's been listening to the power of the subconscious. He works in the lawn business. He mows lawns for a living or whatever, lawn care. And so he was listening to this on repeat in his car. And when he drove by that vehicle, he had this fleeting thought. He told me that car's for my son. And then that night when he was telling his wife about the car, he goes, I think this guy's going to give it to me like for free. And his wife is like, what? And he's like, I'm not kidding. And the next day the guy calls and he says, you know what? I'd like to give you this car. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. These are just normal people that are telling this story, right? So the power of the subconscious mind is real. It's there whether you believe it or not. I'm like, you better believe it and you better tap into it for your advantage. If not, you're just living like the low life. Like living, oh, I'm broke, I'm sick, I'm whatever. I'm like, you don't have to live like that. God has given us authority on this planet, guys. So we've got to take back our power by believing we can, right? Isn't that powerful to think about? Anyway, that's how you retrain your subconscious mind. Write it out with clarity tonight, what you want 1 year from now. Breathe 10 deep breaths through your nose as you drift off to sleep. Imagine best case scenarios upon sleeping, upon waking up, and in the shower. And any emotional experiences that you have that are high marks in the day where there's a lot of emotion involved, make sure they're good and well. And then repeat them. It's kind of like this. I tell my boys this all the time. I actually did a homeschool lesson the other day because my boys were fighting. I did a homeschool. I'm a whole different breed of cats over here. My homeschool is nothing. The school systems are teaching nothing, right? I'm over here teaching health, wealth, Jesus, miracles, like you name it. But they were kind of fighting. And I gave this example. I said, listen, have you guys ever heard the story, small minds talk about people? I don't really like that, Steve and Gina Merritt. She's too excited for me, right? Small minds talk about people. Average minds talk about events. Lots of people are talking about the Super Bowl coming up, right? Or they get stuck on an event and they talk about that event over and over and over for 24 years. You hear that same event. Do you know what great minds talk about? Ideas. Ideas. How can we change our subconscious belief? How can I make more money? How can I create more brand partners? How can I create a better marriage? How can I get control of my health, right? You're creating ideas. Are you guys getting this? So I was teaching this to my boys and I said, we had this pastor at our church many years ago. He's not here anymore. He was so good. And he said, your mind, get this, guys, this is good. Your mind is the watchdog for your heart. I said to Truett the other day, have you ever been to a junkyard? I got chased by a junkyard dog once at a triathlon I was in. I left that day and got a new bike because I almost got bit in the ankles by a damn Doberman. Anyway, the bottom line is I said to Truett, have you ever driven by like a junkyard? There's junkyard dogs. They're real. I said, think of a Doberman. I said, so the Doberman is the watchdog for your heart. So what that means is everything that somebody says to you, every story that someone says, everything that someone says, negative, I don't believe in network marketing. Oh, is it one of those? Whatever they say, right? I said, you have a choice to make. I said, are you going to let it go from your head to your heart? Because this, I think, is the most powerful region in the body, this 12-inch section right here. I said, but what Terry Parkman taught me, Pastor Terry said, your mind is the watchdog for your heart. So what that means is everything that's something that comes into the mind, you have a choice to make, hold every thought captive, make it obedient to Christ. This is all scripture, by the way. But I just think of the watchdog. I think of the Doberman sitting right here. Is the Doberman going to let that thought go to the heart? Or is he going to say, you know what? That's a bad thought. Nibble, nibble, nibble. Out of here. Right? The watchdog is supposed to hold every thought captive. It's not supposed to let, oh, she said this, he said this, sickness, blah, 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 all this crap. I am so careful about when I talk to people, stopping it right here. Like I literally imagine a Doberman because I got chased by two Dobermans chased me out of the junkyard once. Anyway, the bottom line, I imagine a Doberman sitting right here. And I think of it like protecting it and grabbing those thoughts and taking them out, because we don't have to let all the garbage go to our heart. And I said to Truett, I drew this picture, it's laying on my kitchen table because I did the homeschool lesson like yesterday. I said, you have to ask if the thought you're thinking, is it creating a garden of daisies, or is it creating a bunch of thistles? I said, that's the answer if you should hold it captive and let it go to your heart. Because if it's just creating the thistles and you let this crap go to your heart, now what do you have? I said, so you have a decision. I mean, this is such good teaching. Like every kid should learn this. You got to hold the thought captive right here and say, daisies or thistles? Okay, which one do I want? And I said to him, I have pictures, I have all the pictures. You should see all the pictures I write. I just grab things and write on them. But I'm like, listen, you got to decide if you're going to hold those thoughts captive. When people say stuff to you, Truett, people are always going to have opinions. Doesn't make them right. So I said, just let them have the opinions. And then I said, then you have to decide, if I say this, is it going to be number one? I said, I learned this a long time ago. I don't give people my advice unless it's 3 conditions. Number 1, is it life or death? If it's life or death, I'll give my opinion. Okay. Number 2, if they paid me to tell them. As a trainer for many years, people paid me to tell them to stop eating this, start eating this, don't do that, do this, right? So I told them, right? So if they pay you, or if they ask, if someone says, what do you think about this? What's your opinion? Then you tell them, okay? So I said to Truett, I said, because he went on, because he got this bunch of crap in his mind, and then he went on to tell somebody. And I said, did you have to tell that person? I said, did they ask you? He said, no. I said, did they pay you? No. I said, was it life or death? He said, no. I said, you know what then you should have done? Let the junkyard dogs gobble that up. Pray about it. Thank you, Jesus. Let it go. Wash your hands in the kitchen sink. Let it run down the sink and move on with your day. I said, but instead you took it from here to here. And then what happens? And worse yet, he let it come out of here and he told it to somebody. And I said, then what happens? Big bunch of thistles. That's what happens. Okay. Are you guys getting this? So when you're talking to people, people are talking to you, they're all going to have opinions. Okay. Right? You got to decide if you're going to let what they're saying to you go to your heart. And my question is why is it so easy for people to go head heart? We just like let everything in. I don't let everything in. I'm kind of like this. I got to figure out if it's good if I'm going to let it in. Okay. Because Pastor Terry taught me your mind is the watchdog for your heart. Don't let it all in. Only let in the good stuff. Right? Remember how we say, take that one to heart. Have you ever heard somebody say that? Oh, take that one to heart. Yeah. Right? Take that one to heart. That's just a powerful way to think, isn't it? So if there's something really good that happens, did you guys watch the testimony on Sunday night with the gal that had 31 years of education between her and her doctor? They both were doctors.
Yes.
31 years. And she said, I would never, ever, ever do it again.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? When she told you that rope around her thing, you don't even know how she minimized that story. You have no idea. When I first heard that story, Dr. Steelen told me, he said she got kicked by a horse and almost cut her in half. I don't even know the number of days in the hospital was obscene. It wasn't like 2. It was like months. The woman barely lived. So when she's talking about that rope-sized scar around her waist, like she nearly bled to death. That horse almost kicked her in half. Okay. And so when she's saying that scar is breaking up, and then is gone, take that one to heart. You get what I'm saying? Take that one to heart. We got to start listening to these Zooms and take the good stuff to heart. Take it to heart. Take it to heart. Oh, I don't like that one. I'm not taking that one. That's no good. Zip it up. Okay, let me know that one. I got to take to heart. Let that one in. You guys get what I'm saying? I'm showing you a visual so that you understand that you got to quit letting everything everybody says affect you. Who cares? People are people. They love to talk. Okay. Are you guys with me? Okay. We got to actually get to the teaching of what I was going to talk about, because I actually prepared myself, Anne, with 2 pages of notes.
Wow.
For the actual teaching tonight. So I have exactly 7 minutes to teach it looks like. So what I'm going to do to help you guys out, because I knew, I didn't know we were going to talk about that, what we're going to talk about, but hopefully you're understanding what I'm saying, because it should help you in your business. Because I don't take everything to heart. I do not take everything to heart. I am so good about differentiating that now. So what I want to show you, I'm going to go back here in the chat. I'm going to put a YouTube video. I want you guys to watch this. Okay, let's talk about colors, personalities. Have you guys read the books? Did you guys read the books? Yes or no? Yes or no? Be honest. I don't care. There's no judgment.
You're doing our overview, and then we're going to do this the next month now.
Oh, that's what's happening. Okay.
I've read some of them. I have. Yeah.
Okay. So they're skinny little books. In fact, they're just like 90 pages, 80 pages. You'll read through it in about an hour. Both of them. This one's an hour. This one's an hour. But let me just give it to you in a nutshell. Have any of you heard of the 4 Temperaments by Tim LaHaye? He's a Christian author.
Yes.
Temperaments, choleric, sanguine, phlegmatic, melancholic. It reminds me a lot of that. The books do. Okay. So he calls them yellow, blue, red, and green. And these different 4 colors of personality are very, very important when you're talking to somebody. And the reason they're important when you're talking to somebody, did you guys get my comment I put in there? Copy and paste that. Send that to yourself in Messenger right now, or email, whatever, just so you have that link. What I sent you is the actual guy, this Mr. Big L, talking about exactly what I'm talking about. So it's amazing what he says in here. It's so good. And I'm going to sum it up in a nutshell, but you should go listen to it. I actually listened to it in 2 times the speed, so it doesn't take as long, because I listen to everything fast. Okay. So the first color is yellow, and you guys can identify. I want you to tell me what you are. So as I go through this, you can say, oh, yeah, that's me. Okay. You can put it in the chat even. So yellow are the people that are born to help people. Okay. These people love it. They're a common thing is they're very easy to work with. That's common. They're not hard to work with. Yellows are very, very easy to work with. And that's taken from the horse's mouth of the guy who wrote the book. You know, how you would talk to those people when you start to talk to them about LifeWave, you're saying, you know what, we're going to help so many people. So many people are on the wrong track with their health. They're taking too many drugs. They're not having the results they're looking for on that with that medical community. We're going to show them a new way. We're going to help so many people. This is going to be an incredible mission to serve and love and bless others. So yellows love the ability to help and serve, and they want to do it. They want to be part of that. Okay. So when you're talking to the yellows, are you a yellow? Anybody a yellow in the group chat? Part of me is yellow. It's not my dominant one. I do like to help and serve people, but it's not my dominant one I'll lead with. Number 2, blue. Blues love to party. Okay. They're talkers. I'm a definite blue. They're talking all the time. What blues pick up on is your enthusiasm. They don't want the details of how this thing works. They don't want to know about the patents. They just want to know if they're going to have some fun with this thing. What free trips are we going to go on? Okay. Like, so they're all about like, you know what, let's get together. We're going to go out once a week and talk about how we're going to help people and have a beer. Right. So the blue, I don't drink beer, by the way, but blues like that. They like the party. They like the party vibe. So when you're talking to them, your verbiage is more like, we're going to have so much fun with this. This is so exciting. Like you can win trips like all around the world. Okay. Here's the thing about when you have a blue in your business. They are the #1 inviters for convention. I'll tell you what, This Is It convention, I had the most people there. No question. I'm a blue. I mean, I wanted to stand up just to prove my point because I'm also red. I'm highly competitive. Okay. But blues will always you want blues in your organization because blues, they take action right away. They're not waiting for you to do new member orientations or they take action before, you know, by the time you have supper with them and patch them, by the time they get home, they call you when they're home and they say, oh yeah, I talked to 3 people on the way home that are ready to go home with a patch. That's a blue. They lead with sheer excitement. Okay. All right. Any of you blue? Red. Red is the next one. Red, they like to be in charge. They are highly, highly money motivated, these people. Okay. They're bottom line people, end result people. They get things done, right? When they have a conference, it's the best kept conference. Stephen Gina Merritt, red, right? They just have the best things, right? Reds generally are the highest wage earners in network marketing. Just a fact. So how a red conversation looks is, if you're talking to a red, which I'm going to get to why at the end of this, you don't talk just your color. You have to talk their color, okay? Because it matters. You're not going to change my color. I'm not going to change your color. So I need to start talking your color. Okay, you with me? So, but the reds, what do you like to? They like you to get to the point fast. Like Scott will tell you, Renita, you walk out of the room before I finish the sentence. I'm like, I sometimes say to Scott, talk faster. Okay, I'm not kidding. And so, and he knows this about me. And so, you'd say something like this if you're talking to them. Well, we're having a meeting tomorrow night, and I'd love for you to come. We're going to be talking about money, big money, large amounts of money. I mean, not a little money from your job, but life-changing money. Okay, where you can fire your boss, show up in the red Ferrari, and wave in the parking lot type deal. Okay, are you in? They'll be at the meeting, and they'll be there 20 minutes before everybody else. This is a red. Okay. And some of you are thinking, holy crap, I could never talk like that. If a red would say that to a yellow, the yellow would be in the corner in a fetal position crying because they just want to help people, right? Yellows just want to help people. So if you're a red and you're talking to a yellow like that, you're going to scare the heck out of them. Are you with me? Anne has said to me, sometimes when Sarah Robinson comes, it creates a whole new fire in Minnesota. Do you know why? Sarah is a blue and a red. And what she's pulling in those meetings in Minnesota are the people that have those blue and red characteristics, right? They want fun. They want adventure. They want excitement. They want power. Reds like power. They're sick of listening to their boss. They want to get out of that day job, right? They want something else, right? And so what happens is when people speak, they generally attract what their color is, right? Green is the final color. Green are the accountants, the engineers. They love to ponder. They love the details. They're the hardest ones to get involved with LifeWave. But when they're involved, once they finally make their decision, by the way, if you are fun, and you talk to a green, like my temperament, and I talk to a green, like when I say to David Schmidt, I'm so excited, can I hug you? It makes him nervous. He's a green. I'm a red and a blue. Okay, you see what I'm saying here? So greens like to keep their distance. They don't know why people are talking so loud or so energetic. We aren't, you're never going to convince a green. Greens need to go do their own research. They're the ones that say, well, thanks for giving me that preliminary information. And you might have given everything you got, but that was like prelim to them. They want to go really, I got to go find more information out, and they take a long time to make a decision. But the nice thing about greens is they stay in network marketing a long time. They're very, very loyal once they commit. Okay. But sometimes if you're a red or blue, you can drive yourself nuts trying to get a green to join the business. What I've realized about greens, and what he says too, is you just got to let greens go do their own due diligence and own research. And when they're ready, they'll join you. Okay. So here's what the objective of this reading this book is. We're not going to change who people are. I'm not going to change who Anne is. I'm not going to change who Renee is. I'm not going to change who Robin is, right? My objective is not to change people. My objective is to find out who you are and then speak your color. If I'm trying to get you to a meeting or get you to move in this business, right? So you motivate people with the picture of their world. Okay, I'm going to give you a prime example. I'm going to give you a real life example right now. You guys ready for this? So Steve and Jana Merritt launched School, which I think is an amazing platform. How many of you have looked at the School yet? Okay, so School is like a platform where you can go get constant curriculum and education to learn how to be a network marketer. Okay, so if you've never done this business before, you say, I don't know where to start. Great. Now we have School, SKOOL. It's free. And if you've gone to School, have any of you gone to the School app and done it? A couple of you raised your hands. Can I share on this, Anne? Can I just share? Can you put, let me screen share?
Good.
And I'm going to show you an example. It's a real life example, and it's of Scott and I. Okay. Keep in mind, I do 8 to 11 Zoom meetings a day. We've never been busier in our whole life. I mean, and it's a great busy week. Like Gina says, we prayed for this. I'm not complaining. I love it. Right. But I mean, we're over the top. I'm not sitting home trying to plan something like, what can I do? Like, I'm listening to this guy 20 minutes before saying, I want to get some details here so I can pull this together to show you guys. Better yet, I'm just going to give you the link so you can go listen to everything I just told you again from the guy who wrote the book. So, it's not Renita's thoughts. It's the guy who wrote the book's thoughts. Okay. I'm going to share with you guys. There it is. Big L. This is the thing I just showed you. So you can watch this guy, right? And then I'm going to go up here to thisisitteam.com. So when I go to This Is It Team, this is the brand new thing called school. Some of you have said you've been on it, right? My temperament is, I'm not an engineer. Okay. I can barely read instructions in a manual when it comes. I have Rocco do it because he's the engineer in the family. Okay. I look at links under here.
Oh, okay.
Can you guys see links?
Mhm.
When I go to links and I go to school. So this is it, Team School. And this is it. So I'm in here, this is school. Like if you guys have never done network marketing, you literally can go in here and you can learn. And you can click on leaderboards. You can click on classroom. The leaderboards are people that are listening to all this stuff. Okay, right? So you can see here, look at this. You've got this Sherry Holman. She is rocking and rolling. Cynthia Sauer, she's on our team. She's rocking and rolling, right? They're just on this. They're learning. They're growing. They're making it happen. Okay. So they're like learning it all. They're taking initiative. So I looked at this today because I was talking to or maybe it was yesterday, I was talking to the South African team and I'm like, I really haven't done school. I think it's a great tool, but I'll just be honest with you. I haven't done school myself. I've just been consumed with Zoom meetings. Right. And so then I went to Classroom and it really looks how pathetic I am at the school thing. How many percent of videos have I watched?
0.
I mean, are you kidding me? I actually have watched this one right here, so I don't know why it says 0. I've watched it twice, tried to get it to move from 0 because for me, I'm a red and a blue. So I showed this to Scott today, and he's kind of green. Scott's got some green analytical, details, but he's also red. Red loves competition and recognition. That's what red's like. I liked it year 1 when I was in LifeWave and I was number 1 and Steve Merritt was number 2. I like that. I'm like, because I'm kind of competitive, right? Okay, because I'm a red. You're not going to change it, by the way. If it nauseates you, sorry, this is just how I am. I'm just telling you the truth about me right now. You can tell me the truth about you. But I looked at this today and I said to Scott, this looks like we're worthless. I said, how can we lead our team when we're not even leading ourselves on this dang school? I said, I got to get in here and start watching these videos. Scott goes, okay, you're right. He said, I'm committing. He said, every time when he's doing something, he said, I'm going to have this playing in the background so I can be listening in. I said, okay. He said, we got to get our names on the leaderboard. I said, right. And so we're not even concerned with the analytics of it because we're sure there's great content. I'm positive there's great content because it's Steve and Gina and all the team leaders and Scott and I even on some, but I'm not even as concerned with that. Do you see how my temperament is red and blue? And I'm like, I want to be in the leaderboard. You see what I'm saying? Do you guys get my point? I'm telling you that I'm worthless on this thing because I'm not doing this because it's all 0% for me, right? The reason I'm sharing that with you, it's a complete temperament thing. It's a complete, when I was looking at this yellow, green, blue, red, I'm like, oh yeah, I looked at that. And for content alone, I haven't got on it because I'm like, I hear a lot. I'm just consumed with so many Zoom meetings and leaders all the time. I'm constant in leadership meetings, SPD meetings, this meeting, team meetings, that meeting. So I'm like, it's just one more thing for me to listen to. But when you strike me with the competitive nature, I'm like, we got to get that done. We can't have that say 0. That needs to say 100%, 100%, 100%. We got to get through this, Scotty. Do you see what I'm saying? Are you getting what I'm telling you? And I'm saying, I'm giving a real life example of myself so that you can better understand. So when you're talking to people, my question is, when you're inviting people to events, and we're about to come to Minnesota, and I haven't talked to you about this yet, but we want to get down to Minnesota, I believe, like on the 20, I'll send you the dates. It's like the 23rd.
Wait, you gotta wait for me to get there, Renita. That's not fair.
Okay, when are you coming? When are you going to be there? Don't worry, I can come back. But it's going to be like the 23rd or the 6th or 7th, that weekend there. Either that Sunday or like a Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. Anyway, Anna, I'll let you know. But here's my question. When you're inviting people to get on a Zoom, right? Maybe it's one of our weekly Zooms. Maybe it's a This Is It Zoom. Maybe it's a Zoom with Ann. Are you inviting people in the wrong color language is my question.
Yeah.
You are? Thank you for
Yeah.
being honest. Because for me, it's easy to invite in my language. Why? It's my language, right? This is just how I am, right? You get the point. But when you're
But I
talking
invite
to,
everybody. Should you not?
yeah, you should invite everybody, but I'm saying, do you invite it in their language color? Do you specify?
Oh.
Because like this guy was talking, the guy that actually wrote this book, this L guy, he's a green. He's like, when my wife tells me we got to go to events with people, I make excuses why we shouldn't go, right? Like, and so he's a total green, like he's totally like an engineer mindset. He just doesn't, he's not hype. He doesn't want to be around the excitement even, right? So if you're inviting a green and it's excitement, 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 it's not working. Now, if you're inviting, like I always think to myself, you want a lot of me's on your team. I'm just going to say it. You need all of the temperaments. You need all the temperaments. And like this Al says, he says, we all think we're the best. He said, so you'll say, if you're a green, he said, I'll tell you, I'm the best, I'm a green. He said, if you're a red, you'll say, I'm the best, I'm a red, right? Because we all have a tendency to think like we're the best, you know, with our color and our thing. And I thought this is so true, but I know this, when you look at network marketing, as he explains it in the book, the blues are the ones that are massively getting people to events. The reds are the ones that are literally, and blues are also massive action with or without you. You might be sitting at the start blocks and those people are 800 meters in, sponsoring 24 people already. You want the blues, trust me. Okay. And you also want the reds because the reds are the highest wage earners. The reds want to go fast. They're competitive. They want the recognition. They don't need every darn detail. They just don't. True story. The greens do, and they're loyal and that might be long lasting, but maybe they only sponsor 4 people in 2 years. Your reds will sponsor 400, right? And like I've told you before, this is a bit of a numbers game, right? So what he says in the book, you can go read it, you can go listen to the link, even better than you can read it and listen to him, listen to L, the guy that talked about it. I literally took notes from his thing, and I've read the books too, but I just thought I want to hear from the horse's mouth. This guy created it. Like I can interpret it how I want, but I want to listen how he says it because he wrote it, right? And he basically said, you got to start talking their language. When you're inviting people, he said one of the 15 skill sets, the top skill set he helps people understand is who they're talking to. Which one of these colors are they talking to so that they can frame that conversation, not with Renita, let's go, let's win the trip. Let's like, right? I'll give you one more example. I have a gal on my team, amazing. She loves to help people. She's a little bit of yellow, but she's very, very competitive. She's red for sure. And they love fun. She was in a network marketing company of mine, maybe about 7 years ago. They had a little bit of success, but let me tell you her temperament. One time we flew from Las Vegas and there was a snowstorm like in Denver. So there were no flights leaving. And her and her husband were standing at the thing. We were going to rebook our flights and it was going to be like in 5 days. And they're like, no, we need to get home to our kids. And so I looked at her and I said, should we rent a van and drive back to North Dakota from Denver? She goes, yeah, we'll just talk the whole time. This will be great. It'll be so much fun. So we literally got in the van and drove through the night, everything to get home from Denver back to Bismarck. It was so much fun. We laughed, we told stories. I mean, it was just a joyride, literally a joyride with this couple, right? And I haven't talked to her now in about 3 years. And all of a sudden I get this inbox message from her. She goes, Renita, I need to talk to you. I was like, oh my gosh. And she had signed up for LifeWave 3 years ago with me, right? Or 2.5 years ago when we first got started. She was one of the first people that signed up, but never did anything with it and got off of social media. So she hasn't seen a thing that's happened with LifeWave in 2.5 years. Imagine this, because she's not been on social media once. Okay. But in the meantime, I went to work at the school. I hated it. I had to work every day for this boss. I didn't like her very much. I hated it. Then I realized I should teach volleyball for my daughter's volleyball team. Renita, you know how competitive I am. She said, we won the state championship. She said, I was the coach. She said, they never won anything at the school in the history of the school. And we won the state championship. Then we went the second year and we won it again. We won 2 years in a row. I said, oh my gosh, Heather, I've missed you. I said, she goes, so she's competitive, right? Are you guys getting this? She's competitive. She likes the recognition. She likes fun. She hates the dead end job where she's going to work. Are you getting what I'm saying? I said, Heather, I think you can win the trip to Punta Mita. She goes, when is it? I said, well, you're just this is yesterday. This is last night. I said, you're starting today. I said, so the first thing you need to do, I said, what'd you order when you ordered 2.5 years ago? She said, the core pack. And I placed a couple random orders. Or she said it was the silver pack. I said, go into your back office right now, upgrade to at least the advanced, and you got to get this thing moving. I said, you've got like 20 days to win Punta Mita. She goes, oh, I'm going to win it. I said, okay. And so this woman in 20 days is going to win the Punta Mita trip. Watch this. Because I didn't say to her every detail of a green. I didn't say, let me send you the clinical studies and everything you know to launch your business. I didn't say none of that. I said, Heather, you're going to win Punta Mita, and I'm going to make sure you do it. I'm going to help you to do it. Are you ready? We're going to have so much fun in Punta Mita. And she said, yeah, like she was so fired up. So what I did, learn, guys, I didn't say I need to onboard you. You need to do the new member orientation. I'm not saying any of that to Heather. She's going to have 20 people sponsored by Sunday. Like she's winning this trip, right? You guys get what I'm saying? Some of you are too worried about that. Stop worrying about that. Figure out their temperament and fuel the fire. So I said to her today, hey, I'm coming to Scottsdale. I just decided to take a quick trip to Scottsdale. It's too cold up here. And I said, I'm coming down on Thursday. I said, do you want me to come down to you and do a party for you on Saturday? She's like, what? You've come to Arizona? I'm like, well, I'm just going down to see Bo. We're doing a couple of parties down there. Maybe I'll shoot down 2 hours to where you live. Anyway, she's so on fire. You guys, the point of my story is, if I would do a typical ding, if I would have told, do you think I told Heather about school? Do any of you think I told Heather about school?
No.
Why would I? That'd be stupid. Like, I'm not going to tell Heather about school. Heather is a red and blue. Heather wants to win the trip, and Heather is competitive. Heather basically said to me last night, what do I need to do? I said, you need to start sponsoring people at core, preferably advanced and premium packs. I said, here's my 11-minute video. Watch it yourself first. So you know what it says. Send it out to people and get their orders. I said, when do you want to do a Zoom meeting for your team? All your new guests. She said, how about Wednesday? She said, is 9 p.m. too late for you? I said, no, I'm just getting started at 9. And she said, okay, so tomorrow night she's having her first thing. She goes, I'm going to get 50 of my friends on it. Do you think I should take time to tell Heather about school? That's a
No, but I want to know about the 11-minute video. Where's that? What is that?
Oh, so you guys get my point about this, right? You understand?
Yeah.
Some of us are approaching this all wrong. You're wanting to listen to them and then serve them right where they're at. So the 11-minute video, let me show you where that's at. If you go over to, this is awesome, by the way. If you know Teresa and John Getz, they took it to the top in 2 months of using this video. Actually, about 6 weeks in, she said, Renita, I'm done using your video. I made my own and it's 9 minutes instead of 11. I said, you're faster than me. Good job, lady. Because she's a leader and she's a red. But she used my tool until she could make her own tool. And then she said, boom, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to go to Facebook real quick. You guys see my screen?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, let me share.
Not yet.
Not yet. Share the screen. So here I am. I'm going to go to groups. By the way, if you're not in Lifeway Wellness Warriors, you ought to be. It's amazing. As I come in here, I'm going to scroll down to where it says featured. So everybody say featured. Featured. Featured is all the best stuff. When I click on featured, everything that's important. Renew your account so you don't get terminated. I teach people how to do that, right? As you scroll down, it's kind of those important things. Here's our Thursday night overview. That's going to be on Thursday. Billionaire mindset. This is tomorrow night. We're actually going to do a 20-minute LifeWave overview with that. Talk about tax forms. I just pinned Don Cornett's thing because she told you how to get how much money you made, right? Last year. LifeWave business recording. This is the Sunday night meeting with Dr. Kathleen Horstmeyer. Her and her husband had 31 years of combined college education. Hello. And she said, if I had to do it all again, I would do none of it. The patch has done more. She goes, it almost makes me feel silly for all my education because this patch is healing and helping so many people. It almost makes me feel like silly, right? Ashley, Roland, and Bo. So if you haven't watched that, this thing is out of this world, that video right there. I sent it to 25 people today. That's how good it is. As you scroll down, here's how you upgrade. If you don't know how to upgrade from being a customer to a brand partner, or upgrade from a core to an advanced or premium, go right there. Scroll down, LifeWave overview. I always have the recordings on here. Here's a Freedom LifeWave overview. This was an impromptu one. No green got on this. Not a single green temperament got on this meeting, but I had 151 reds and blues on that bad boy and yellows. You know why? I announced it 2 hours before I had it on social media. 151 people showed up. Like I said, the greens, they couldn't put it in their planner fast enough. They weren't there, but we got the reds and the blues, right? I'm attracting reds and blues. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want greens as much. I mean, I like them. They're nice people. They're loyal, but you know what? They're a lot of work for me. And they take so long to make decisions. And it just gets tiresome for me to work with them because I'm kind of a red and a blue. I'll work with them. I've got them. Trust me, I've got these people on my team. And I love them right where they're at. But it's just easier for me to go sponsor a red and a blue because I know they're going to go to work like Heather and go sponsor 50 people real quick to win the trip. Okay. And by the way, she's been wearing the patch for a full 2.5 years, so she knows it works. so I didn't have to do any convincing there. LifeWave over. Oh, I didn't tell you how she knew. Did I tell you how Heather knew?
No.
Heather said,
Oh.
Renita, everybody now knows me as a volleyball coach because I helped the school to go 2 state championships, which they've never won one in the whole history of the school. And she said, I walked into a meeting with all the volleyball coaches, and there was a lady walking ahead of me with a patch on her neck. And she said, oh my gosh, Heather was walking behind her. Heather goes, is that a LifeWave patch? The lady turns around and says to Heather, how do you know about LifeWave? She goes, my friend Renita sponsored me 2.5 years ago. The lady goes, Renita Brannon? She's like a legend. And I was like, oh, that's funny because I'm a red and blue, so I like hearing that. And so, and she goes, yeah, that's a good friend of mine. She goes, she said to Heather, are you doing this business with Renita? Heather's like, yep. Heather called me after the volleyball meeting.
That's awesome.
Isn't that awesome? Okay, scroll down. So thank you to whoever that lady was down there that's wearing the patch. She can come to our meeting when we have it down there. Anyway, LifeWave Billionaire Mindset. As I keep scrolling down here, I'm still under featured. There's so much good stuff in here. Reminder. Okay, I got to get rid of that. Book recording. Scroll down. LifeWave overview recording. I got to be getting close. Oh, here's Scott's tax-based smart money moves, a PDF you guys can print out to look at. Here it is. 3 amazing recordings you can use to duplicate. This was under featured. So all
I
I'm going to
posted
do,
it in the chat, Renita.
see, that's somebody that's way faster than me. I was
Okay.
too busy telling stories over here. Okay, so I copied it, but she got it. I'll do it one more time. But there we are in the chat. Thank you for putting that. So those 3 videos. So what? And don't send all 3. So I said to Heather, you just send the 11-minute video. And if they're excited and they're ready to go, then don't send any more. Get them sponsored. Send your link. But if they want more, then you send them the 12-minute video. Okay. And she goes, got it. And I said, if they're really looking at it and say, oh my gosh, I want to look at this business, then you send them the 21-minute video, Heather. You choose what video. And by the way, John and Teresa Getz did that, and they went SPD in 2 months. They used my 11-minute video. Actually, it was a 21-minute video. It wasn't the one I had showed you guys. It was a 21-minute video I had done for a long time before they changed the packages. She said, can I use it? I said, yeah. So she would send the video, she'd call them and sign them up. Send the video, call them and sign them up. Send the video, call them and sign them up. And then after 6 weeks of doing that, she said, you know what, your video is too long. I'm going to make my own. And she made her own video and it was 3 minutes less. And I said, can I use your video? I like yours better. Anyway, so the bottom line is she took ownership and leadership, but she knew that that first video had to be concise and precise. You cannot, sometimes this isn't info overwhelms people. Do you guys know that? They don't know what to click on. You know what I mean? So then they're like, there's, what should I look at? So what I do is I just like, sometimes if I send this as an info, I'll just send one specific video off of that. I won't just go, this is an info. I'll actually I'll pull one link off of this is it info and say, watch this. But many times now I'm leading with my 11-minute video because it's really good. And so, but if you can do one better, let me know, because remember, my objective is freedom and winning. So if you can do one better, I want to use yours.
Okay, and you said
I don't need to be the smartest. I don't need to be the smartest. I just want to win. I want freedom, right?
You've got the good pictures of your dad's legs.
Yeah, you can use that. That's yours to use. Don't forget the last thing my dad said to me as he was carrying his raw goat's milk out of my house. He turned back over his shoulder and looked at me and he said, you're going to help so many people with this LifeWave. Keep going. And he died a day and a half later. actually the next afternoon. But
Oh my gosh.
anyway, so for me, it's an honor. And I can say that without crying because I know he's in heaven and he's rocking it up there playing pinochle. But anyway, the bottom line is I would be honored, and my father would be honored if you'd use his legs. And if you didn't know this, my dad never gave really us anything. Like he wanted me to pay rent when I was in high school. I mean, he was so drunk. He wanted me to pay rent. It was crazy. Like, so he gave us the cow. Remember, we had to pay the $400 back. He never bought us our vehicles. He never paid for our insurance. He never helped with college, none of that. And I said to Scott, it's almost crazy because that leg picture of my dad took our business all the way to SPD in 66 days.
Mhm.
That picture made us 1.3 million our first year. And so my dad died 6 weeks after that leg picture. No, my dad died a week after that leg picture.
Wow.
No, 6 weeks after, because it was, I took the picture of the first leg. Steve called me that day. I happened to sign up because I was patching mom and dad. And 6 weeks later is when that picture, well, no, it happened right away because my dad was one patch miracle. But 6 weeks later, we hit SPD. We hit SPD on Sunday. My dad died the following Friday. And I said to Scott, my dad didn't know this, but he created generational wealth for our family. Like he didn't even know, like as much as he never gave us anything. I mean, nothing as kids in our adult life, nothing. So conservative, so tight. And I said, had it not been for that picture, I mean, I don't know if we would have ever done Life Wave. Isn't that crazy to think about? It was almost like I said, it was almost like God said, okay, your mission on this planet is over now. Like, or something like that, right? Isn't that crazy to think about? So anyway, I can tell that story without crying. I can't tell the Donna story apparently without crying, right? But anyway, I'm healed. My dad is good. He's in heaven, and he died a hero in my world. So I'm thankful. Yeah. But not before he could bless all of us with that photo. So you better dang well use it, is what I say. If my dad was a Marine, he'd say, use the damn thing, right? That was my dad's lingo. He was hard. And so I would say, use that photo and share it with the world and say, all you got to say is, hey, this is my friend's dad's legs. That's a true statement.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Be honored to do that. Please do it. He's cheering in heaven every time you share it. So anyway, that's it. I'm way over. Sorry, Ann, I'm way over.
That's okay, but I want to tell you, every overview that I do, I would say, you are here today because of these legs.
Yeah.
So I put that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
true.
she showed me his legs the first time that she talked about Life Wave. She showed me his legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was honest to God truth. It was I think my mom was walking on the 11th day, but dad was literally, that happened overnight. And so I think that it was so shocking. Like I couldn't deny it. Like with mom, you were kind of like, maybe it was just a great day for her or something. But with dad, it was so visible that it was just, there was just no denying it. And so in my mind, I hadn't worn the patch yet. People say I got to wear the patch for a month to see how I feel. I'm like, I didn't even wear it. Like I just saw what happened to mom and dad, and I thought, well, that was convincing enough, because my gosh, they beat the hell out of their bodies for 7, 8 decades, right? And wow, if it did that to them, what's it going to do for someone who's got a little knee pain or a little period cramps? In my mind, that's how I was thinking of it. I was like, it's obviously going to help those people, just because, mom and dad were in rough shape, And so my dad, at the 6th week mark, so the week before, but about a week and a half before he passed, we went out to Mayo because he was going to have this massive surgery. The one thing I hope would heal in him didn't. Everything else healed. He was pooping like a goose. He was sleeping again. The legs were completely healed. Everything healed. The Mayo Clinic doctor said a week and a half before this big surgery he was supposed to have, the Mayo Clinic doctor actually said to me, I'm taking congestive heart failure off your dad's medical records. He doesn't have one symptom of it. We'll let the clinic in Bismarck know that we've removed it from the medical records. He took congestive heart failure off my dad's medical records at Mayo.
Wow.
So when somebody says they don't believe in the patch, I'm like, next. Like, I just don't have time for it. Like, I'm like, this stuff is just what happened to me. I can't make it up. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, how else did that happen? He wasn't doing nothing else. And so it's just, it is what it is, right? Anyway, so unfortunately, it was due to a medical error that he passed away. So, which didn't strengthen my belief in the medical system, and it was not good to begin with. Ugh, dang it! I hate it when that happens. Right? Onward and upward. God's got a plan. So, all right, that's it, you guys. I'm way over. Ann, I love you. God bless you. Ann's a great leader. We're coming to Minneapolis, Ann. I'll
Good.
send you the dates when we get off here so you can start arranging.
Awesome.
Let's pack it out. Let's get some people well. And let's get them healthy and healed and wealthy as well so they can heal their relationships and stabilize their marriages so no one's fighting about money anymore.
Renita, you're growing your hair.
you.
It's so pretty.
I know, I look unkept. I trust
No,
me.
it's
No,
so
It's
pretty.
nice.
Look how
It's
cute.
I'm
cute.
telling you, I said to Scott, I filmed myself. I just look like unkept.
No.
But I said, you know what? I'm gonna
It's
have to
pretty.
just bear with it because I'm gonna grow it up. And I've committed to Rocco. And if I cut it, I have to pay him $1,000. And I'm not paying $1,000.
No,
I
That's
am
so
I am
fun.
and motivated, money motivated. He's not getting 1,000. So
Renita,
I'm not
Renita,
gonna-
Renita, I used to have a pixie haircut a million years ago, and I grew it out a long time ago, and then and it took me forever. So when I see you growing it out, I'm like, I know she's hating it on certain days. You look great, and I know how it feels. It just feels like everywhere.
Oh, it's just
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
It's
And then I
crazy.
took a video of myself yesterday and I'm like, if I would look at that woman's hair, I'd be like, what's wrong with her hair? Like it just is, and it just has and then I'm trying to rat it. I actually had to go buy I don't have any, for
Rat comb.
20 years I've not used a comb. I'm
Yeah.
like no combs in my house.
No,
Imagine
you
having
just
a house
use
with
your
no comb.
you just use your fingers to do.
Yeah,
to
my
do
fingers
your
would do
hair.
everything for my hair. And now I went and bought a pack of those little combs for $2.99 at the grocery store so I can rat. Remember ratting?
Yeah.
I have to rat this area so it doesn't fall down. It
How
looks
long
so
are you growing
weird.
it to?
I'm ratting it up now. I got rat hair. I said to Scott, I don't know what's going on. We're just, you know what? It's winter. So I'm gonna wear, my goal is, I had this vision. I'm gonna, when I go to France for this culinary experience, I imagined myself on the something in France. I don't know
Your
where
hair
I'll
blowing
be.
in the
but-
wind.
Yeah, hair blowing in the wind. And so my goal, I told my girlfriend, she's a hairdresser. I said, how long does it have to be so I can get extensions? Because I'm envisioning myself with long hair in France. And she said, well, it's going to have to be at least like collar height, Renita, for you to do it. And so I'm like, I'm just not cutting it. And so if it's collar height, then she's going to give me the extensions. And then I'm going to be on like France going like this with my hair. And you're going to be like, there she is with that long hair in
There
France.
you go.
And so I got a vision. I got a imagination. So I'm not
It's
cutting it. So
funny.
bear with me. Bear with me. All right. Anyway, God bless you guys. Let's
Thank
just pray, Father God.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you
for
so
this
much.
awesome team. Thank you for the leadership. Thank you for Ann. Thank you for all the beautiful people and their beautiful hearts and minds, God. We just ask that you purify our hearts and mind. Anything that is not of you, God, that needs to be stripped off and possibly is holding us back from the goal set before us, just let that go. In the mighty name of Jesus, we just come in there and we replace it with joy and with strength and with courage and with might and with prosperity and abundance and the goodness of God, God. We just thank you right now that you're just expanding our boundaries, our teams. We're stretching right now. In your name, Jesus, you're going to bring all the right people forth, all of the right teammates forth that want to grow and expand their lives, their health, and their finances. We love you, Jesus. We give you all the glory and honor for all the amazing things happen and all these miracles that are happening in 2025. We give you all the glory in advance. We know the very best is yet to come, Father. We love you, Jesus. And we love this team, all of them, top to bottom. And the ever expansion team, we're welcoming them in. We love you, Jesus. The best is yet to come. Amen.
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 Thank
Amen. All
you.
right.
you.
Have a great night, you guys. Imagine I'll go
You
write it
too.
out, one paragraph and best case scenario, and then get to bed. And then don't be lazy about imagining. Like I said to myself one night, Renita, don't go to sleep. That's being lazy about imagining. You got to stay in the game, kid. And imagine best case scenarios, because I was kind of drifting, because I was tired. I'm like, stay in there. All right. Have a good night, you guys. God
Bye.
bless.
Good night. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good night.
Hi, everybody.